The open society idea is very attractive in itself, and of course is associated with the whole tradition of liberal democracy, but that people have not been sufficiently careful of the preconditions, the things that make it possible. It's not the default position of human communities, but it is inevitably going to be threatened by globalization, by the movements of people, by transnational organizations like the European Union and so on. All these initiatives have changed the basis of our societies. And the question is whether they are making it more or less likely that those societies will be open. I think in some respects they have become more open, but in some respects they've become more closed. There is a growing tension in modern, at least Western societies, between people who are dependent upon the place and the networks of that place, and people who are more mobile and more part of the global community and so on. And I think this tension is beginning to make it very difficult for people to unite. People need to be reconciled to each other and to trust each other. People don't naturally trust each other. We need some kind of public space in which people can say, yes, well, those are my neighbours. I am okay with them. And I think that's all that we should mean by national identity. And I think liberal democracy seemed to be a natural development out of our situation in Britain, and grew during the 19th century without opposition. But here, of course, it was a very different experience. The Hungarian government, Viktor Orban in particular, since it's his government, they took a stand against the European Union's policies about migrants and borders, and said exactly that. That this is our territory. We decide what happens here. And of course, then the European institutions reacted by saying, no, you renounced that sovereignty in joining us. And so there's a tension growing. Did Hungary renounce sovereignty in the matter of citizenship, or did it not? And that's the same tension as has grown in my country too. And it's growing in Germany. We have to acknowledge this, whether we like it or not. This is something that's happening. There are certainly European values which we all share. The idea of a secular rule of law is something which is very precious to us, I think. But it goes with other values inherited from the Judeo-Christian religious inheritance, which I think are more controversial, but still they are there. I don't know about the future. I'm not a prophet. But obviously tensions are growing, and the question is, will they be resolved in a peaceful way, or will it involve a fragmentation of the European Union? We know it's already Britain has decided to leave. We know that we will be punished for that because the Germans don't want anybody else to leave. But I suspect the Greeks and the Italians are going to be forced to leave at some stage, or at least to reschedule the whole of their arrangement, because obviously they're suffering impossible economic distress. I would say that we must make more of an effort to reconcile the global attractiveness of liberal democracy with local loyalties. Because we have to reconcile ordinary people who are not mobile, who don't have languages, whose occupations are in a place. We have to reconcile them to the liberal order as well, and that effort has to be made. I think, and if it is made, maybe a new equilibrium can be reached.